You're just in time for another eBay unboxing, so let's get going. Now, I'm on a constant search for bargains. Not easy to find anymore. With the shows Antiques Roadshow and Pickers and all those, shows that sort of ruined it for all of us, finding good things. I was really on the fence about this. And I made the seller, they had to make an offer, and I made the seller an offer. It was declined instantly. They have auto decline. And then finally I was able to make an offer within $5 less of the asking price. And I was I'm not sure. So, oh, there goes the dogs to bomb my video. Ignore it. It's just the mailman's here. That's why. And, all right, so let's get the rest of this open. I'll be right back. Note to self, how to get rid of a dog in less than 20 seconds? Just throw biscuits out the back door. They'll be scratching on it in a few minutes to interrupt my unboxing joy. And yeah, so it's getting harder to find these treasures or what have you. People are getting wise, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a seller on eBay, you really need to do your due diligence and find out what you have. And okay, so let's see. Oh. Okay, this is a lot nicer than I thought, boys and girls. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's take a look at this. Now, after I purchased it, I did some more research, and I found out that this is a famous person. Now, generally, if you collect cameos, cameos generally have mythology goddesses on them, and or gods, or famous people like Rembrandt and famous philosophers. But this one is really, really the holy grail of collecting. And you might say, but it's not, it's costume. It's not precious, metal. It actually is silver. This is sterling silver. It does, I know in the picture, I saw a marking. I got to find it. It has a bail also. It had a marking, I think, oh, there we go. We'll have to zoom in on that. And maybe I can see what that says. I think it says 800. And that is coin silver. And you might be like, well, this is costume jewelry. It's really considered a precious piece. And I'll tell you why. Carving. Carving is pretty much everything. So let's try to get an age on this, a date. Okay, so generally Victorian would be tube hinge. This is a round hinge, but this is an early round hinge. This is probably from the 1890s to about 1915 or so. And I could tell that's not a mass reproduced round hinge. That one's handmade. And generally you'll see a C catch. It's a catch that's shaped like the letter C. But the safety catches didn't really actually start becoming invented until about the 1890s in Europe. In America, it was later. Much more like the 20s, 30s, and so on and so forth. But this has an early safety catch. And I'm going to date this between 1890 to about 1910 or so, 1915. And also, Victorian brooches or cameos for that same type of dealio with jewelry to figure out the age. The pinpoint would go out well past the brooch, and you would stick yourself. And eventually, they started making them shorter with these more advanced catches instead of a C catch that you would get jabbed and get stabbed. And so, also, the earlier pins will have thicker and longer pins because the fabric was thicker. Starting around the Edwardian era, they started using more lightweight cottons and stuff like that. And so the pins didn't have to be as thick. Otherwise, they would bend. If they placed it in their taffeta from the 1860s or something like that, it would be such a tough material that the pin would bend. So they got away with, thinner ones and shorter ones right around the end of the 19th century into the early 20th. All right, so who do we have here? Let's take a look. Now, another telltale about a cameo is carving. I don't know if you can see this. Do you see how it's raised up above the cameo? That's a deep carving. There's mass-produced ones in the early 20th century, probably from the 20s, 30s, and on, that are pretty much, they're really fast. They were reproduced actually with lasers and stuff like that. But this one you can see is hand-carved, which is quite cool. And it is a shell cameo. Now, there's a lot of fakes out. You got to be careful. A lot of people say shell, vintage shell cameo or antique shell cameo, and they're resin. And it's like a sort of mold. And it actually is the same color as the shell, like a reddish orangey color, goldeny color. And you will think it's an actual shell, and it's not. You got to be very careful. All right, so who do we have here? Let's actually, I'm going to zoom in. All right. So your goal of Cameo collecting is to get the best carving as you can. And like I said, even if it's not in precious metal, it like silver is actually, so I wouldn't consider this costume. I'm going to clean this up because the silver is very tarnished. But a deep carving, nice raised relief. I don't know if you could see that. And you see, if you notice, you can tell a real shell, how to tell if you have resin or not, is a real shell will have a curvature like this. And if you hold it up to the light, you'll be able to see the portrait through it. Let's see if we can do that. So I just demonstrated to you by holding it up to the light, especially the sunlight. You'll be able to see the actual silhouette of the carving right through it. A lot of times too, though, you got to be still careful because they used celluloid in the 30s, like the 20s and 30s, which was an early form of plastic. And so a lot of times those are actually, you can see through them. They're not as opaque as the resin. And so you really got to be careful when you buy these. And I was afraid that we might have this because the seller's pictures were not good. But who is this? All right, I'm going to flash a picture on your screen. Hold on one second while I get it. All right, so I did some further research, and she's known as Marie Antoinette on anticameos.com. This is a site that shows you nothing but the most exquisite cameos. You can see we have one that's almost identical, and it says cornelian shell, seed pearls, date and origin, circa 1840 to 1850, Italy, silver. So it's marked silver. It says museum quality cameo depicting, I think, Marie Antoinette, Queen of France. This is an incredible work of art. Very detailed cameo, carved by an artist. It says, frame is sterling silver, marked, beautifully chiseled and enhanced by seed pearls. Rarest cameo. Very desirable collector's piece. Now, this is a little bit odd. The age, she gives it 1840 to 1850. And I'm going to show you something. So let's take a look at the picture. And it has the round hinge and the safety class, the early 1890s, early 20th century safety class. So there's no way that this cameo was made, let's just go back, was made during that time. There's no way. So this is probably early 20th century or late Victorian. But then again, it's still, this lady does know her things about cameos. Let's check out cameos. Cameos for sale. And this website has exquisite cameos, like the ones that you can't afford. Most definitely you cannot afford any of these. Neither can I. Trust me. I'm not making fun of you guys. But if it's on this site, that particular cameo, then you know damn well that this is a good cameo that I got, which is really exciting. Now on Pinterest, I found one other. So I was going to film Pinterest, but Pinterest only lets you do portrait and not landscape. So yeah, that's no fun. But so this is none other than Marie Antoinette. And here's the one I see on Pinterest. And it says that it was actually commissioned by King Louis XVI for Marie Antoinette, his wife, the queen. And so that's really interesting to know. Really interesting. So I've only found two others with this almost identical carving. Now let's put the other one next to it, the one we found on that rare cameo site. And if you notice, let's try to get in there close. Look how good this carving is. I mean, it is almost exactly. So I'm thinking the same artist made both of these, except for the one on the rare anti-cameo website. It does have seed pearls around it, but it also has a sterling silver frame going around it, which is quite interesting. So am I glad that I purchased this now? After like, sort of like, I was like, I don't know. Should I make an offer? Should I not make an offer? The seller really put lousy, I mean, I'm not kidding you, lousy photos. So you really couldn't see the cameo very well. And now that I look at it, I'm actually quite impressed with its beauty. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And this was actually really lucky that I purchased this one. What value would I place on it? Well, I mean, if it had 14 karat gold and seed pearls or semi-precious or precious stones going around it, of course it would be worth more. But I would not sell this for less than $575 to $875 as is. Now I'm going to clean this up and shine this up like a new penny. What I love about it is this frame is just absolutely gorgeous. Now that's coin silver. It is not sterling silver. This is very common in Europe. They don't have 800 coin silver in America. So we do know that this was, of course, this frame was made in Europe. All the cameos are made in Italy. But then again, I don't know who the frame maker was. Generally, the carver would also be the frame maker. So I'm guessing that whoever made this cameo also made this specifically for the Cameo. So it's probably all Italian, which is quite interesting. It is black looking now, but I'll clean it up and I'll be back and I'll show you how pretty it looks. Okay, this is probably going to be one of the first times I didn't mess with an antique piece of metal. I'm going to leave the patina on it. I decided that I think it actually looks really nice with that old patina. I'm not going to shine it up like a new penny. I almost always shine my Cameos up with like a new penny when they come with sterling. And because of the black, I don't like the black. But this time around, I'm going to leave it with the patina, which is a rarity for me. So let's go ahead and look at the detail if we can. And look at that. That is a sign of a good Cameo. I'll show you the sign of a bad Cameo. Okay, so these examples have good, fair, best, and best. And, well, I mean, this isn't the best that you'll find. Trust me. There's ones that are 100 times. Like, it'll blow this one. You'll want to throw this one in the garbage. But this is like your everyday average. I'll show you this carving. Your everyday average 20s, 30s one. I mean, if you look, I don't know if you can... The lighting isn't very good. But if you look, I mean, that's really... I would say that's sort of garbage. But I paid like $30 for this one. That's about the price that they're worth. 30 to maybe $75 all day long. It's in silver, but look at the carving. Let's turn it from the side. I mean, it's not a high relief, and it's sort of juvenile once you look at this one. Let's go ahead and, you see what I mean? You see the great difference? Look at that. Now that's how you can tell a better Cameo. This one's a good one. I think I found this in an antique shop for like 80-something bucks. This one is Victorian. This has a nice high relief. If you look on the side, I did clean this one. It was black as the ace of spades. This has a nice relief. This is a better Cameo. This one is a good one. And this one is sort of, you know, your regular 30s, 40s that you would see on the market. It's more costume. You can see it's like, it was probably gold plated at one time. But it's just mediocre. Let's go ahead. I mean, it does have a nice relief on it, but it's sort of amateur night, if you know what I mean. So let's go ahead and compare. And now, do you see what I mean? Like, compared to this and this. So the more money you're able to afford, I recommend getting the better carvings, going for this, because each one of these is a piece of art. Even the ones that are mediocre, they're a work of art. Somebody sat there and carved that out. Now, 3 hours... as opposed to probably, I don't know, 12 hours or 2 days, 1 hour on a laser. Like, you know, they had laser machines in the early 20th century, or hand carving. Which one do you go with? All right, so thanks for watching. This was a great score. I think I paid like $75 for it. I think they wanted 80. Oh, they wanted $84.95. I offered them 80. And they accepted. They didn't want to accept my earlier offer. It auto declined my offers, and I was like sort of sad about that. But what could you do? So I got it for $5 less, and it was just listed. And I'm telling you right now, this would have been snatched up by most Cameo collectors on the market if they would have saw it for any longer. I should have just bought it at the full price and shut my mouth for $5 more. But I was in danger of getting this snatched away from me. But, yeah, sometimes you get lucky and people really don't know much about Cameos, and you can score a nice deal. I forgot to mention, boys and girls, ears. Ears. Yes, ears. 9 times out of 10, you will not find ears on Cameos, or at least detailed ears. Like, they attempted on this one, and they did very terribly. And this one, this has an ear, which is great to see, okay? This one... it has a flower. And then take a look at this ear. This is the best looking ear. This has to go, this Cameo has got to go in the Hall of Fame for the best looking ear that I've ever seen on a Cameo. Oh my goodness, the ear is just, I don't know. I never thought ears were beautiful until today. I forgot to tell you guys something. I uploaded this video to YouTube, and then boom, I totally forgot. Okay, so out of these 4 Cameos, we got one facing left. So that's rare. That's showing you that most of the Cameos are facing to the right. Now, why I believe some of them are facing to the left is because I think the carver was a left-handed carver. And so I believe that's my assumption for why some of them were carved left, but less of them were carved left. Now again, dating them. It's very hard sometimes. Sometimes you might think you have a Victorian aged Cameo, but it's really not. It depends on the carving also. So the left facing one, even though it's rarer, wouldn't be as much as one that's better carved that's facing to the right. That's another telltale about value and so on and what you want to collect. Okay, noses. So if you notice, you see how her nose is straight? It goes down straight. And then when you look at this one here, I'll put this one next to this one. What do you notice? This one is more pert and upturned at the end. Almost like a letter U, and it goes out. The earlier ones would have a straight nose. Now, even earlier, like the mid-Victorian, Georgian, and even before that, would have an aquiline or Roman nose. So right in the center where the bridge would be a bump, and then this would be facing downwards. And that's how you can tell an even older Cameo. Now again, the 20th century, right here, boom, we got pert noses right there, upturned at the end. All right, now let me show you one more thing. I'm going to show you the different closures. And this one over here, this is a good one. It's not the best, but it's still a good one. You can see nice carving on that. And we'll flip it over. We have a tube hinge. Like I was telling you, Victorian and earlier would have had these tube hinges. And a C catch. See the letter C? Wait, we'll do it this way. And then you can see the letter C. All right, so this one is possibly a little earlier than this one. But then again, they're probably late 19th century to early 20th century. And again, her nose is nice and straight. Do you see that? Compared to this little pert nose here. Let me hold on. Big difference. And look how much better the carving is on the face and the hair. The hair is really of the telltale. And I'll zoom in. Look at her hair. And now look at her hair. Do you see like the absolute amazing difference it makes to have a better carving than say this as this? Okay, and then this one is an example of an early 20th century safety catch. And this one is from like the 20s, 30s. Let me try to just zoom out a hair because we're not going to get a good focus on that. You see like these little things where you could put your fingernail in between these little divots? That's telling me 20s, 30s. And so that's another telltale sign. Now this is an earlier, I'll show you a closure. And you don't want to do what I just did. Do you see that? It doesn't have the little divots in it like I showed you. This is an early lever closure. So it was a C brooch, a C closure, and then it turned into like a little lever. And you can see that was handmade. This was not mass produced like say, let's put that one back, like this one, very mass produced. You can see this was machine done. And let's check out that hinge. And this is more of a mass-produced type of hinge. I don't know if you can see that. You see that right there? And then we'll flip this one over and I'll show you the difference. And you can see this one is, you see the little peg in the center? That is not mass-produced like this one. This one is mass-produced. So this will help you date your cameos. You can't always tell 100% for certain what age your cameo is, but this little guide can actually help you. And remember, even if it doesn't have precious metal, you might say, oh, it's costume. It's a costume cameo. But it's not always costume jewelry. Because if it's a fine carving, like say this one here, let's get in there close, then it does not, look at that. Look at that carving, how beautiful that is. It does not matter about the frame. It matters about the artistry and whoever made the cameo. And again, look at the difference between this and this. Do you see the difference? Even the eye detail. Look at the eyelids. Do you know how hard that is to carve into there? Let's go ahead and check out. Look at that now. See how messy and sloppy that is? Most likely laser done in the early 20th century. And look at the eyelid detail on that. The nose, even the lips, the ornamentation in the hair to each little strand of the hair. And that is how you can actually value your cameos. Now again, I said I would not sell this for less than $575 to about $800 to $875. You might say, oh, that's too much money. It would sit there for possibly 6 months to a year, but I can assure you I would be able to sell something like this with no problem at that price, at the high end too. And this one as well. Even though this it's not 14 karat gold, and you might say, well, that's costume jewelry. Nope. This is costume jewelry. This is actually nice. Even though it's not 14 or 18 karat gold, it's still beautiful. This one's sterling. And this one being 800 coin silver, which is only 80% silver, is still quite fine. Is actually nicer than the sterling silver. Little bezel here. If you look at this detail and this workmanship, let's go ahead and check it out. I mean, look at that. Look at all the detail that went into the making of this. Wow. Okay. All right. So I hope you learned something. If you did, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and thanks for watching.